Hi there. Well, I've had one of those days. I've spent quite a lot of time trying a couple of fields which, to all intents and purposes, weren't that great. But I needed to have a quick look at them, and one of them, the wheat was coming through already, and I was very wary of what I was digging. So I wasn't being sort of fully committed on it. And then I noticed this one. It's absolutely vast. Now, the field on each side, I've done a lot because they're very, very good. And from a long time ago, I've been through this field several times and found so little that subconsciously I've just left it. I've hardly ever been on it, and it's big. But as I said, there was a reason for it. The times I did spend on it, I never found anything. But beggars can't be choosers, and it gives me a proper chance to have a go at it. The stubble's also quite high still, not that rotten, but that doesn't matter because I don't want to do it too carefully anyway. I want to rush around it a bit and see what's happening. The only problem really is at the moment is I haven't really left myself much time to do it. So if I am finding lovely things, I'll come back in a couple of days and do it properly. It's absolutely boiling and warm and sunny and just perfect to be out. So for the first 2 or 3 hours I've been out, it hasn't really mattered. Now, the first thing I found here was this. Not much to look at, but it's a medieval buckle plate, stroke strap end. So that's just a brilliant start. That's the first thing you find, then you're doing okay. Then a couple of shotgun cartridges, and the usual bits and pieces, lead, and then this. Now, this really is quite promising. I'm going to plug you in. And I'll leave this on afterwards, obviously. As I said, I'm not giving myself much time to do this. But if I do find 3 or 4 more nice things, then we're coming back in 2 days' time. Right, hang on a second. This sounded ballsy, I tell you. Right, let's get that back in there and see if this is working. Not sure how that's going to sound on the mic, but it was loud. Now, it's an absolutely fabulous buckle and one that I have just not ever found before. So it's a new one on me. Now, I think this sort of design, with also a little bit of gilding, I can see traces of gilding around that. It's got 2 sort of knops on each end. The buckle plate presumably would have gone round, well, I can show you. It would have gone round like that, I would suspect, and then the pin would have come out the other side. Now, I've got a feeling from things like this that I've found recently and researched with the help of the detecting hub, information below, but we're sure we'll hear a bit more from them later. These are quite early. I think they're 1150 to 1250, something like that. Anyhow, I'm not going to bang on about it too much now. Let's just get on. But that really is one of the loveliest things I've found in a very long time, and I've not found that design before. So I'm completely thrilled, and it just gives this field the amount of positivity I'm now feeling from it, having not really even bothered with it for 2 or 3 years. You never know. That might just be the only thing in this field now, these 2 things. Who knows? But we'll give it a good shot anyway. If not for too long today, then definitely in the next couple of days. Well, I didn't do very well yesterday. We will go and have a look at that buckle, but I was reminded why I never did that field. It's very odd. I found those 2 things, and then the stubble was quite high as it turned out, so I wasn't doing it very effectively, but I galloped round miles for about 2 hours and nothing. Just those 2 things on the edge of the field. It's very strange, so I'm not going back there. I will try it once the stubble gets completely either knocked back or it gets drilled so I can get the coil right close to the surface, because that may have had something to do with it. And I'm back on this pasture. It's going to be a whistle-stop video, this, because I'm going to do surf and turf. I've just noticed a field I've never been on's been done. So I'm going to do a little section of this field I've been on 1,000 times if you watch this video, and found some wonderful things. I'm doing it really, really carefully. I decided to get another little tiny section done really, really carefully, because bit by bit, having been over it 1,000,000 times, I'm now doing it really slowly, which is not my natural way of doing stuff, but I thought I bet that's the way it's got to be now. And I haven't found an awful lot, just a load of iron, digging a lot more iron obviously if you've watched previous videos, especially with this machine, because I'm digging those really iffy signals. And I've not found anything apart from some musket balls, and there's quite a nice I think it's probably a late medieval or post-medieval mount, little brass things that we find, that little belt mounts. They're really lovely to find. They're tiny as well. And then this. Now, I wasn't expecting this. I've been here an hour and 10 minutes, an hour and a half. But it's a really lovely sign that there are still things here if I take it really carefully, because this was deep. And it's a hammered coin, and it's a hammered Edward penny, I think. Originally I thought it might be a halfpenny, but I think it's a very clipped penny. But I also think that it is, I can see the tas of civitas, which is always around these coins. Then you get the mint in two sections, and I can see D, V or U, R. So I think that's a Durham mint, which is really, really nice, because more often than not in the south of England, they're London. And that's in quite nice condition as well. I don't know which Edward it is, but we'll soon find out. And that's just lovely. Lovely little coin, lovely bit of silver to keep us going. So as I said, I'm going to do this a little bit longer, and then we'll go and have a look at this ploughed field. My God, this made a sound. Listen. Look, it wasn't very deep, maybe an inch or two. But it is tiny. I think it's just because, well, that's the back of it. It's quite a fancy button, or would have been a nice gilded button, by some maker on the Strand, by the looks of it, or rather something stand. Either way, gosh, I mean, I thought that might be a big bit of silver sounding like that, but it's not. It's just a little button. This might be worth a little live dig. It's going to get very, very cold though, we're being warned from the weather forecast. Now, it's always worth digging these signals in pasture, these little, quite low buzzes. It might be a cartridge. It might be a piece of lead. Usually, more often than not, it's thin, flat lead. But you can't ignore them, and I certainly can't ignore them now. Now I'm reduced to digging just the iffy ones, because I've got all the obvious ones. But I do detect very fast, as you know, so there's always a chance in my fields that I've missed something, especially if I take it slow. Right, I don't think it's iron. It's not got any iron buzz around it at all, but it might be foil, even though it's not a foily field. If I was in a foily area, I would say it was foil. But sometimes, as you may see, these buzzy sounds at depth sound a lot different when you get them out. Can really surprise you. Even now it's sounding a bit squeakier. Just in the side at about 6 or 7 inches. So I've got to be a bit careful now. I suspect it's in there. Not bad. I mean, it's a bit soft sounding, isn't it? And a little bit low. As I said, it probably might be a bit of copper or a bit of lead. And that's all it is. I mean, it's just a horrible piece of old cartridge. But it was deep, and it wasn't iron. So I've got to dig these. I'm not ignoring these. If I'm just digging cartridge after cartridge after cartridge in a really, really good area, I'm going to stop digging them, but I can't now. That could easily have been something good. Someone messaged me, commented saying, can you do a video on how you dig and fill holes? The answer is no, I'm not doing a video on that because no one will watch it. But I've made quite a neat hole here. Put the bits back in like that. Carefully put the clod back on top. Stamp it all right down. Don't worry too much about the loose mud. Unless you're in someone's garden. And there you go. Well, this is just after that cartridge. Absolutely typical. And I'm going to show you how it sounds. Because my God, it sounded like a rifle round. But I was just thinking, you've got to dig all those here, because I keep plugging the thing into the wrong outbox. When I plug it into mic rather than aux, whatever that means, I get a fabulous sound. Listen. Well, that's a bonkers sound. And I think I can be forgiven for thinking it was a rifle round, because look, it's a thimble. Now, not only is it an early thimble, it is by far, in a way, the best thimble I think I've ever found. Certainly in the best condition. It's absolutely, looks like it was made, used, and then dropped. It's really quite thick. The actual wall of the thimble itself. It's a lovely colour of sort of bronzy copper alloy. I don't know exactly what it dates to. I'm guessing, I'd like to think 16th century, maybe a bit earlier. And we'll look it up. I don't think it's a beehive. It might be a beehive, because it is that sort of shape. But it's just wonderful. I mean, just the condition it's in is just bonkers. But I think that stuff in this field is always in the best condition. It's never, I don't think it's been cultivated, certainly not for centuries anyway. And it's just got a really nice feel to it, and all the things that come out of it are wonderful, including that thimble. Now we'll take this back to headquarters, because I don't find thimbles like this very often. And if you know me from my videos, I don't even like thimbles very much, but I love that. And then we can look at that buckle at the same time. Okay, let's go. Hi there, welcome to headquarters, and happy Christmas and New Year and all that lot. It's been a really fabulous year for me at Task. Come here, up. Sorry you haven't seen an awful lot of Tasky. He doesn't come out much with me on these big fields because there's too much livestock around. But we do go out on quieter fields, which I don't make videos of because there's nothing really to show you. And at this time of the year, he does quite a lot of shooting with me as well. But he's got two balls that he's far more interested in at the moment. Yeah, he's got one now. It's been it's been an amazing year, and I'm hoping for more in 2025. Fingers crossed. Let's just hope so. And thank you all for being so supportive this year. It's been a really fun year to do YouTube and to do these videos. And also thank you very much for those people who've been buying things off eBay. This has really helped, and a lot of you have been more than generous. And as you know, if I feel that you've been too generous, which is all the time, I always put in a couple of one or two little Roman coins to say thank you, because it does mean an awful lot, and it just helps with the running and the expense of the channel, so that's really kind. Now let's have a quick look at some of these things we found already. I've got a lot to get in, so I can't go on for too long. Firstly, this buckle. Now this is seriously unusual. I've never seen anything like it, and it was just so odd being in that field. I mean, I really had such high hope for it, and yet nothing in the rest of it. It's very strange. I'll wait till it gets done properly. I don't know when that will be. And then try and go over it properly, because there's got to be something there, but it's just really odd. But anyhow, back to this quickly. I put it on the detecting hub. No one has really seen anything like it. A couple of people gave it a 13th, 14th century, but I mean, I could have probably told you that as well. It's just a really, really unusual one. I mean, it's not even on CJ's buckle guide. That's the guide you get if you put up buckle ID on Google, and it's brilliant. But if you find something that's not in there, then, you know, I mean, I often challenge people to, and now I think I've done it. So perhaps it's continental. Who knows? Definitely got signs of gilding on it, and it's a really cool thing. And then this thimble. Now, I'm not crazy about thimbles, but hard not to like this. It's absolutely wonderful, and I think it must be quite early. There's all sorts of ways of IDing thimbles, which I don't know about, and I'm trying to get onto the portable antiquities scheme, which is a bit bust up at the minute, so I can't find, and I can't do a thing on it from there. But I think the indentations and the way they go round, and the fact that the top is definitely, it's all moulded in one thing, the top hasn't been added, I think, and the thickness of the wall, I think that all leads to that being fairly early, 15th, 16th century, possibly 15th century even. I just don't know, but it's a really good thing. So any thimble experts, please let me know. I did put it on the detecting hub, but I'm being impatient and not waiting for any replies. I don't have time. I really want to get this video out before Christmas. And then this tiny little child's one, or small ladies one, or even me. Look, it does fit on my little finger, but I've not got particularly big hands. It's bare at the top there. And it just has a few indentations around the side there, and it's just a sweet little thing. I didn't find that in the video. I found that recently, but I thought I'd show you now as we're doing a bit on thimbles. I'll have a quick look on the detecting hub, see if anyone's replied. I'm so naughty that I haven't been waiting. Here we go. Thimble Crabchurch has replied on thimbles. He says, and he knows his onions, by the way, and thank you very much. He's also follows this channel. Hi there. Hope you have a good Christmas. Nice finds, Alexander. I've heard the smaller thimble types described as monk top thimbles due to the ball top of them, and they are usually medieval in date. Well, that makes sense looking at that one. So pleased with that. Thank you very much. And let's have a look, see if no one's commented on the pastry jigger. And then this lovely little Edward penny. I think it's Edward III. I will give you a proper, I'll put this, I'll put a few things on eBay this week. I'll put some Roman coins up as well. I find a few later in the video, and because we didn't have anything on last week. So this little Edward penny is a Durham mint, as I said in the video, and I'll know a bit more about it by the time I put it on eBay and give you the link and everything. So there are all those things. It was just a fabulous day, and just gets better. So thank you very much for listening, and let's go back to the fields. Well, I slightly had to tear myself away from that pasture, and I've come to this field which I've always known about but never been on. It is big. It is big, and it's 8 times bigger over the brow of that hill. I've had a bit of a gallop round, nothing. So I've come to the corner of the field which is closest to where I'm finding other bits and pieces on other fields, and it's already turning out to be the right decision. Now, I've just found this little sort of pin type thing, which I think's got some gilding on it. The way that it's shaped and sort of doubles down slightly, if that makes any sense, makes me think it might be quite modern. But I don't know, but I'm sure that's gilding. And then I think that's got some sort of design on the top there. Now, I'm not rubbing it anymore because I don't want to ruin it, because it's so delicate. So we'll take that back and clean up that properly. And then this. Now, these are always, everyone always says, oh, they're pastry jiggers. I have found, I think, what I believe might be, if I can find the thing in the first place, because that's something else I need to show you in a second. I have found what I think might be pastry jiggers, and by pastry jiggers we mean something that goes, a round thing that goes on a bit of a sort of spindle of sorts, and you run it up and down pastry to make zigzags, I think. Now, I don't think this can be. It's far too wonky and crude. It's definitely got a hole in the middle of it there. But And it has the sort of zigzag shape, but is that really a pastry jigger? What they call a pastry jigger? I'm not sure. I'll put that on the detecting hub. And then I found, put that there. Got to be quite quick because I'm running out of juice on this camera. And I've only got this camera with me at the moment. Found so much rubbish today. And now I think this must be a Roman coin. Can't think of what else would be. There's not much detail on it, even though that looks like where the mint mark would have been there. And that's where the emperor's head would have been there. And it's got a hole in it as well, which is what the Saxons did apparently, to nail Roman coins upside down on stuff, I think. That's a Roman coin. And then just down here, well, you know, I'm running around, but I'm not going to live dig because I don't have time. I'm just nicking stuff off the surface, so it's not going to be exciting watching me dig, but God, that's another Roman coin in this area, in this small little area, which I'm going to have to do now quite carefully. And this one's a bit nicer, so I can see what's going on this. I thought it might be silver. It looks to be quite silvered. It's not the best coin in the world, but there will be a lot of detail on it, and I can see a sort of radiate crown on that side. So I think if I put my tools carefully to that, we'll get quite a lot of detail off it. So that is very promising in a small area. A couple of Roman coins, that funny pin-like type thing, the pastry jigger. I'm going to resist galloping around it. I'm just going to stick in this area and see what happens, and I'll show you anything else. Look, another little coin. Gosh, they're not the best condition, these ones. But again, that's another little Roman coin. Well, that's not bad, actually. That looks like Crispus or someone like that, one of the sons of Constantine. That might clean up quite nicely. God. Yeah, I think that's Crispus with the altar on the reverse, and that will clean up, I'm sure of it. And with this, once I get this sand off, look, you can see his helmet there, so we'll clean that up and have a proper look. Gosh, this might be quite exciting, this section of field. Well, everything's running out of batteries, including my mic, my camera, because I've left the main one miles away. I'm on a recce, and there's big planes flying over the place, and it's loud, but my mic's about to go, my camera's about to go. But look. It's another coin. It's another coin. Didn't sound as ballsy as the Romans because it's not Roman. I think it might be Saxon, and it's only because, well, I think it's definitely silver, and there's a bit of mud on it there. I don't think it's an Edward or medieval, just from the early signs. Do you know what? I think that might be an Edward the Confessor with that cross on it. And I'm just going to gently take some of this sand off, and that is a Saxon. That is Saxon all day long, glinting in the sun. Look at that. I'm not going to take any more sand off that now. We'll go straight back to headquarters and look at it properly, along with the other Roman coins, and see if I can have them cleaned up slightly. That's just made my day. What a bloody result. And I think it might be in really nice condition as well. I'm completely thrilled. Wow, well look, let's go back to headquarters and have a proper look at it there. Hi there, welcome back. We've got a few little bits and pieces to look at. Firstly, this pin. Now, I put this on the detecting hub, and no one seemed to have a real clue about it, I'm afraid. Sorry, you guys. I thought disappointingly, it might be the wheel of a toy car, but it's definitely not. It's really absolutely rather beautiful. If anyone's got any ideas, it's a bit wonky. The stalk, as it were, is not central to the thing. It's a bit sort of crudely made. and I've managed to get a bit of the dirt and sand off it, and it's just the rather most beautiful design and loads of gilding. So that's absolutely, so that's wonderful. I'm thrilled with that. Delicate little object. The pastry jigger again. I haven't managed to get this on yet. For anyone else's advice, and I'm sure, look at the zigzagging, the way it goes around like that. Perhaps it is a pastry jigger. Something about it just, I mean, were they jigging pastry, you know, when they were making rather crude objects like this? I just don't know. Probably it's the answer. I mean, they've probably been jigging pastry for ages, but it's a lovely object and rather just, well, I just don't know if anyone's got any ideas on that, on that as well. And then now I've got to give myself a socking great pat on the back, because I did start cleaning this coin. I started cleaning both of them. The Crispus one is starting to come out quite well, even though it's a bit buggered up. But I'm definitely getting quite a lot of detail off it. I think it is Crispus. Now this one. Now this, I mean, it's cleaned up really rather amazingly. I haven't managed to do an awful lot on the reverse, but there's a god standing there somehow, and on the obverse is very clearly Postumus, with his slightly upturned nose and his beard, and you can see a lot of silvering on it. It's an ANTONINIANUS, which came in under Caracalla in the very early part of the 3rd century. They were supposed to be double denariuses, but they only, even at the beginning of their lives, contained 75% of the silver that 2 denariuses would have had. And by the time Postumus comes in the sort of mid-late 3rd century, they're basically copper coins, heavily silvered. And this one, you know, would have, you know, it's got some weight to it, so perhaps there is a silver content to it too, but you can definitely see the silvering on it. And I think Postumus, what, 260, 265, something like that. It's really come out to be rather a good coin, and by the time I finish that one, on both coins I'm using the brass insert of the composite cleaning pencil, which is my new go-to tool. If you're careful with it, it's absolutely wonderful. If you want me to do another cleaning video on these on Roman coins, please let me know. I'd be really happy to do one, because I'm getting non-swanks, I'm getting really good at it. And then this hammered coin. Now, at the time I thought it was Edward the Confessor. It looked to me a bit like Edward the Confessor, and the cross on the back, but I'm no expert in Saxon coins. I simply don't find enough of them, even though fortunately I've found a few, and I'm bloody lucky to have found those. The cross on the back of this Edward Confessor, for example, is a very simple voided cross. It's got a quadrilateral shape in the middle and pellets, so it's a bit more advanced. That's what led me to think that this was also Edward the Confessor. Look at the colour of it. The silver is absolutely beautiful. It's got a simple voided short cross with a hole in the middle, and if you look on the obverse side where you've got the king and his scepter, you can see very clearly CNUT, which means it's not Saxon. Technically it's Viking. It does come under Saxon coins because it appears in England at the same time, but Cnut was a Viking king. And you have to go to your spink. I did put it on the detecting hub, obviously, just to let people, just to show it off. But it's fairly easy once I got Cnut to work out the rest of it. And here we are, Cnut 1016 to 1035, ruled for a long time. That was the last rule after him and a couple of his dodgy sons. That was the last Danish rule in England. Then you get Edward the Confessor. And if I go to these, there's several coins here, and here we are, 11159, short cross type, and I'll put it alongside there, and there it is. Now this is a really, really decent coin. I mean, it's absolutely gobsmackingly beautiful, but there it is, the short cross type of Cnut, and it and there it is. I mean, it's not identical, but it's very, very similar, and I suppose the dies of these coins were all a bit could all be a bit different. Or is it that one there? Is it half Cnut? No, it's definitely Cnut. So that was just, I mean, that's the best, probably the best coin of its era, albeit Saxon or Viking, that I've ever found, and I'm absolutely thrilled. I mean, it's just a beautiful coin, and really made that already fabulous day better. And I find a few more bits and pieces too, but it makes it just made for just the most special day. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to that. Let's go back to the field. Well, this is a bit of a new one on me. And originally I thought it didn't look like it was that old. I thought it might have been Second World War buckle of sorts. That's obviously the sort of strap end stroke buckle plate going round. And then there's the buckle there. Now, when I see double buckles like that, when you've got the line through the middle, I mean, you sort of think Tudor, don't you? The sort of spectacle-y buckles. But that's very... the sun's really low, I'm afraid, so I'm just trying to get some light on it. There's definitely some design there. Very crude notches going round there as well. And then having a sort of... I don't know where the pin would have gone, if it would have gone anywhere. So is that modern? It can't be. Can it? I don't think so. I think it's either very modern or it's very early. I don't think it's Tudor. Wow. Well, I've not found anything like that. But you usually expect a pin to go through it, don't you? Anyhow, well, I'll put it on the detecting hub and see what they say. Really like it. Interesting. Well, I hope you can hear me because I don't have my mic on, but it's not very windy. Listen to this. This has happened to me before. I almost didn't dig this. Like I said earlier in the video, sometimes very flat lead can just sound really buzzy and boring. And it's a bit of flat lead, but it's a boy bishop token. Now, these are my favourite things to find in the world. I've banged on about them about 8 times on videos before, so I won't do it again. But they're medieval tokens made out of lead to celebrate the boy bishop. And they are quite peculiar to this part of the country. They're very, very big. Well, they were sort of predominantly made around in East Anglia. And that's what it is. It's a little boy bishop token, not in the best of condition, but I love finding these. They were very popular until the Reformation, when Catholic superstitious stuff was very, well, you had your head cut off for it, and then they went out of fashion. But they are a beautiful piece of history. And as I said, I'm not going to bore you with it now because I've done it before, but look it up. There's really, really cool little things, boy bishop tokens. I love them. You've got a cross like an Edward penny on one side, and you've usually got a mitre of the bishop's mitre on the other. Can't see that yet. I'm not going to rub it too much, but I'm thrilled with that. That's brilliant. Well, that's quite nice as well. It's seeming to have a little bit of everything, this section of field. I wasn't sure what it was at first, but it's quite a late Nuremberg jetton, I think. It's very, very thin. I thought it might be a forged hammered at one point, a copper hammered coin. Well, it is a copper hammered coin, exactly what it is, but it's a jetton. It's a Nuremberg jetton, probably 17th century. Rose and orb type. Well, that's the orb on that side. Don't know what is on that side. We'll have a look. Something a bit unusual, I think. My mic might go at any minute, but we'll end on this. Oh, let me show you this buckle plate first. Absolutely an absolutely lovely piece of medieval history. It's got a bit of gilding there, which remains probably where the stud was hanging over it. And a bit of decoration around the roundel. I've loosened the rivet slightly, got to be a bit careful there. I think it's missing that section, and that's broken off, and then the buckle would have gone through there. So that's really, really cool. Just a brilliant, brilliant sign, things like that. And we'll finish here. Gosh, it's too loud. It's a bit soft sounding. It's probably just the cartridge or something. I know I always say that because it usually is, to be fair. I mean, we dig up 40 cartridges to one nice find if we're lucky, and that does sound a bit. Nope, it's a coin. It's not just a coin. I thought it was Roman. I don't think it is Roman. I think it's a 17th century token. which is even nicer because I haven't found one in a while. It's very small and very round. Is it a jetton? It might be an English jetton. Do you know, it might be an English jetton, which would completely just make my, that would just coin off the best day ever. I think it's a 17th century trade token. We'll get it home and cleaned up, I think, because I don't want to rub it too much. But that's just lovely. What a brilliant way to finish. You can't ask for more than that. I'm hoping it's an English jetton. Well, very quickly, because I don't want to take up more of your time than I already have. But look at this. I mean, I got it back and I cleaned it up painstakingly. All the coins that came out of that field have, well, you can see here on this side, which I haven't cleaned, this thick, really sandy crust, which proved really hard to shift. I mean, it was really strange how they all came out like that. But very gently with the brass insert of this, I started picking away at this coin, and look, it is an English jetton. Not only is it an English jetton, which date to the late part of the 13th century, so 1280 onwards. There's lots of stuff online about it. They're pretty much, I think, my favourite things to find at the moment. Now, I can clearly see on it 3 lions passant, which to you and me is 3 lions walking around like that on all fours, looking one way or t'other. And I'm not sure still what's going on the obverse, because I haven't cleaned enough. I think it's probably, from what I can see so far, I think it's probably a face of a king or a monarch or a bishop or someone like that. Now, I've found a website with 2 lions passant on it, and there is a Portable Antiquities Scheme guide on jettons. But this is being really slow, the Portable Antiquities Scheme site at the moment. But I've seen a couple of pictures I'll show you now of jettons, English jettons with 2 lions. But I haven't found one with 3 lions. Now, I haven't put this up on the Detecting Hub yet, but I wonder what they'll say about that. I don't know if 3 lions is rare, but they're rare finds anyway, English jettons. So to finish off the day with that was just, I mean, just remarkable, and just a really wonderful way to end 2024, which has just been, for me, a brilliant year. Anyway, let's go back to the field very quickly, and I'll say goodbye from there. I think it's an English jetton. We will, if it is, we'll whiz back to headquarters quickly if it is good, and I'll say goodbye from there. Otherwise, if it's not good, I'll say goodbye now. And thank you very much for watching. That was bloody brilliant, and I'll see you next time.